we think when we do something like that.
What's up, fight fans? This is the Combat Connection, and we are live on Cageside Press social media platforms. We have a great show for you today, breaking down last week's UFC Tampa fight night and getting into the heavyweight title rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury this weekend. What's going on, Eddie?
Same old, man. Just a few days removed the last UFC of the year. Now we're actually getting to look forward to a boxing. When's the last time you look forward? And don't give me that Tyson Paul crap. When's the last time you were looking forward to a boxing match?
I wasted so much money at Tyson versus Paul. My wallet still stings.
You went to it. Okay, wait, real quick.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Okay, yeah. Giving people insight on that, because I spoke to journalists that went to cover and everything. They gave me one story. What did you think as a spectator?
So I obviously wasn't credentialed at the event. I'm more of a hardcore MMA and a casual boxing fan, but I paid to sit up there in the second deck, and the best fight I saw all night happened one row in front of me when this hot blonde chick turned around and punched a drunk guy in the face and shattered his nose. Other than that, there wasn't really much in the Paul and Tyson fight, but the other two fights, Serrano and Taylor, were awesome. And then they had a welterweight title fight between two Hispanic fighters as well, and both of them got knocked down, and the fight ended up being a draw. So that was actually pretty cool. But the Tyson versus Paul fight was despicable. You know, you had a guy who was fighting a senior citizen and then wants to call himself the A-side in a Gervonta Davis fight in the press conference afterwards. I really wish there was somebody there that would have asked his co-promoter, I think his name's Nikita or something like that. Yeah. I wish somebody would have asked him about the rest of his roster, because on the last two Jake Paul cards, he had a girl who was highly touted get knocked out. And then before that, he had this guy named H2O Silv who got face planted by a 7-1 underdog. So his roster seems to be getting, decimated other than Jake Paul every single fight. So I wish somebody would have asked him a little bit about that, as he was saying his Jake Paul was the A-side to Gervonta Davis. But, I don't know. I thought it was a waste of money overall. And I'm glad I went for the historical aspect, but we got better fights to talk about than that, man. Let's get into the UFC Tampa from last week. We had Joaquin Buckley come out and put on a performance against Colby Covington that was absolutely fantastic. Leading into the fight, Colby Covington made a ring walk with Hulk Hogan and Chael Sonnen, who ended up cornering him. And I got to tell you, Eddie, I liked Chael Sonnen's cornering in this one. I thought he was giving good advice to Colby in between rounds. He was trying to keep his attitude upbeat. Colby knew that he was losing in that fight and things weren't necessarily going his way. But Chael was right there with him, kind of encouraging him and actually giving advice in the corner strategically that you don't normally see. So, yeah, here's a little bit of the walkout from Colby Covington. What'd you make of all of this kind of pre-fight antics and then Chael being in the corner for him before we get into the fight?
Old school pro wrestling fan way back in the day. I stopped watching a long time ago when Eddie Guerrero passed away, rest in peace. But before that, I watched the Hulk Hogan's and all that. So Hulk comes out great, but he looks so frail. I felt terrible for him. I was just like, well, why are you making this man? He was like, they showed him before they walked out of the tunnel. He was using the flag as a cane. I'm like, give this man some help or something. What are we doing? But the best part was that it was obvious when Colby ripped the shirt. It was already pre-cut. You could see it on the broadcast. And I was like, dude, he can't win for losing. Like, no matter what he does, it would have been a dope, visual of him to do that for his fans if you couldn't obviously tell it was a cut. It was sad.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of plays into the stick, because Kobe's kind of like this guy nobody takes seriously. And, I mean, he comes off as harsh, but in the end, the stuff he says is funny. He tries to act like a badass and rip the shirt, and in the end, it's like a big joke, kind of like how his shtick ends up. But getting into the fight, I thought Buckley put on the performance of his career. Really hit Colby solidly with a left hook that started a cut in that first round over his eye as he shot in for a takedown. After that, the doctor really had to pay a lot of attention to it for the remainder of the fight. And even before the third round, the referee and doctor were telling him, we can't see this get any worse, and we're going to have to stop it. And Chael Sonnen actually came out with a video himself saying that he was going to throw in the towel, if the fight wasn't stopped in that third round. So Buckley really put on a dominant performance on the feet. Colby Covington did get him to the ground one time. He had 3 minutes and 43 seconds of control time in this one. Maybe squeaked out a round. I don't know if I'd even give him the second round where he landed that takedown, because Buckley did land some solid shots on the feet at the beginning of the round as well before he was taken down. But Maybe it was 1-1 going into the third. Honestly, Eddie, if I look at this one, I might want a rematch because I don't know necessarily who you match Buckley up against. Some people are saying Ian Gary. Colby Covington, what are you going to have him go fight, Protez or somebody like that? It's have to go take on a contender who's even less of a name. Maybe throw him against Buckley again and you get that definitive finish that the UFC wanted the first time around.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what you do with him, but the fight itself, first of all, like people don't understand because there's a lot of people talking online talking about, oh, if he didn't get cut, he would have been do this, he'd have been hit that, and whatever. As if fight was in Vegas, he wouldn't have gotten stopped. Come on, relax with all that, okay? A cut is part of a fight, okay? Because when that cut opened up, Buckley's target was just that eye. He's like, I ain't hitting nothing else but that eyeball. He did a really good job of popping that out there. But I do like to think that if the cut wasn't involved, especially after that 3-minute, control time in the second round, I think, Colby would have gone straight up, crotch sniff mode just to get the win, right? I think he would have done that. And I think he would have been pretty successful because Buckley didn't show anything about getting off his back.
No.
Right? At all. So that's one side of it. The other side is you got to give Buckley props, right? His IQ is increased quite a bit as far as fight goes. The second that cut came in, pop, let's go. When he got taken down, I think he was Colby timed it really well. It was a really well timed takedown, if I remember correctly. I might not, but either way, big ups for Buckley. Performance of his career, like you said, biggest name on his resume, I think, at this point. And unfortunately, though, not a highlight reel knockout that's going to take imp off the repeat.
Yeah, that's what I kind of wanted to see, a definitive finish in this one. Like you said, Colby did show success on the ground. Maybe if he comes in, and anybody. We've talked about excuses with fighters in the past. Mm-hmm. Everybody comes in injured. There's cuts in almost every single fight. So you can't really use that as an excuse. But maybe if he didn't get cut in that first round, he would have found some success with a takedown in that round as well. I'm sure he had a lot of blood leaking into the eye for a majority of that 5 minutes before they were able to treat it. But I would have liked to see it again because I think he showed success on the ground. I thought Buckley showed success on the feet, and there was going to be a definitive finish one way or the other. We were either going to see a dominant win by Colby Covington as he figured out the grappling later in the fight, or Buckley was going to get him out of there like it looked like he was going to do with powerful punches. I don't think Colby could have lasted another 3 or 4 minutes to start that fourth round on the feet with Buckley, especially with how bad the eye was in that shape. And Buckley's looked tremendous. Like in his last fight, he fought Nursultan Ruzaboyev. I had Ruzaboyev winning that fight. Ruzaboyev's 6'5" at 170 pounds, and he was able to get past him and now get past the grappler in Colby Covington. He's really had an answer for any stylistic matchup that's came at him thus far. So really impressed with Joaquin Buckley, and he continues to improve at this stage of his career. I believe he's in 30 or 31.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like the Ian Gary matchup. We're talking about next fights. I like it, but I would have loved it if Ian was coming off a win, right? Because now Ian, let's see, looking at the rankings, Buckley and Covington switch spots. Buckley's now 6, Covington's now 9. As far as anyone trusts or cares about the rankings, Ian stayed at 7, right? So it's not a far drop down for Buckley. But there's guys like Sean Brady, Jack Della's above him, Kamaru Usman, Shavkat Leon. I think for Buckley, the fight I want to see him take is Kamaru. Because if you can get a win over Kamaru Usman, give him your title shot.
Builds too.
Get your title shot. Get your title shot. That's it. And not to mention another high level wrestler, right? If I don't know if it takes ibuprofen before the fight or something. We all know about Kamaru Usman's being jacked. Right now, he's been out for a while. Maybe got some help on that. Stem cells, whatever the treatment they could do to help with the knees. But if he's healthy, his takedowns are almost automatic sometimes, for the most part. As far as when you watch it, forget statistics, forget analytics, just live during the fight. So I would love to see that matchup. Man. That's the one I want to see.
Yeah, Kamaru Usman is great in 5-round fights as well. He's been the 5-round distance on multiple occasions and has a great gas tank to go with it. We've yet to see Buckley go 5 rounds. And that's something that maybe we were going to see in this fight if it wasn't stopped due to the cut. But I really want to see Buckley's gas tank. I think that's the last question that he has to answer before he gets into the top 5. Mm-hmm. If he is matched up against Kamaru Usman, he certainly is going to get tested later in the fight. Moving along the card here to the co-main event, we had an absolute throwback performance from Cub Swanson against Billy Corantillo. Swanson knocks him out in the 3rd round viciously. Gets Billy Q out of there. It was a very close fight up until the finish. It was 114 to 108 for Swanson in total strikes. Significant strikes were also in the favor of Cub, 99 to 97. Now, Billy Q attempted 11 takedowns over the course of this fight, only got 3 of them. And it was a big punch from Cub that ends up getting the win here in this one. What'd you make of the veteran performance, and how impressed were you with Cub Swanson?
I love the fact that he went to enemy territory. Remember, Billy Q's a Tampa kid from Tampa, so he had the crowd on his side. He had everything on his side. He had, the home cook and everything. And Cub came in and took his shine. That's what I like about Cub Swanson. He's that kind of gangster, guy from California, but he'll go anywhere. He'll take your shine if you don't show up with his P's and Q's all ready to go. I like the fact. I like the way he scrapped, and I like that he's still, even at 40, 41 years old. I think he's 40, whatever. But at 40 years old, basically, that he can still crack. He can still hurt people. He can still take a shot. And he can still, have a bit of, because it was a little bit of a war, right? They were back and forth quite a bit until the very end of that one. And so that was cool. I felt bad for Billy Q because I was there when he got knocked the hell out by Edson Barbosa in Kansas City last year. And I remember it was me, Alex Behunin sitting next to me, to my left. And in the first row way behind us was Ben Davis, who was one of Billy Q's friends, right? And he got knocked out, and Alex must have looked back to look at Ben. And I don't know if you guys seen that picture of this Ben's like distraught, right? That picture Alex took around me. Like, all of a sudden I see this phone come around. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, just don't move. I'm like, all right. He takes a picture and he showed it to me. I'm like, oh no.
That's crazy.
So that's the first thing I thought it was Ben Davis right after Billy Q got knocked out. But again, massive win for him. It's one of those wins that I think would make someone like Cub sit back and be like, I think that was it. I think that was a good stamp for it, right? I think that was a good stamp. Now, I know he said in the post fight he named one person he'd come back for, but it's not that he can't do it still. Is that I hate seeing athletes go out limping and hurt and busted up and broken. That's that. You know what I mean? I love seeing go out and win. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like all of our heroes go down face first. Robbie Lawler was on a stint of a lot of losses viciously before he beat Nico Price. Clay Guida's gone through some similar things, and all the other legends who have gone through the sport as well. Nick Diaz as well. And this really, to me, would have been a good moment for Swanson to call it a career. He would have gotten a victory over a veteran as well, a vicious knockout and a vintage performance. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Tito Ortiz and Ryan Bader back in the day when Tito had to, keep his job, by beating Bader on like a losing streak and had a vintage performance there. But yeah, congrats to Cub Swanson getting a massive win. And if he sticks around to fight again, we hope he gets a quality opponent in something that fight fans are interested in, and not one of these new up-and-comers. So congrats to Cub Swanson on the knockout victory.
Yeah, he named Duho Choi as the one person he come back for, so who knows. And shout out to Cub Swanson on the Vince Pichel mustache. If I don't know who Vince Pichel is, Google that guy because they look exactly the same. Yes, the stash. I saw him and I was like, is that Vince or Cub or a Cub? What the hell's going on? Anyway, yeah, there you go.
I miss Vince. You should still
Vince is the shit.
All right, moving on to 125 pounds. We had a flyweight matchup between Manel Kape and Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva was riding a little bit of a win streak into this one, and Manel Kape was coming off his loss to Muhammad Makayev, but gets the job done in the third round with a knockout. This was a very impressive performance from Manel Kape, who looked fluid throughout, bobbing in and out of range throughout the fight, and significantly was outpointing Bruno Silva before getting the knockout in the third round. Total strikes in this one, 111 to 60 for Manel Kape. According to ESPN, all of those total strikes were significant, and the significant strike totals were 111 to 57 in favor of Manel Kape as well. So a wide margin there in the statistics before the eventual stoppage. Manel Kape gets back into the win column in impressive fashion. Is he ready for a top 10 opponent again?
Absolutely. No, you got to give Manel Kape a top 10 opponent. With the flyweight the way it is, it's a round robin of rematches with Brandon as champion for a while. Now it's Pantoja, and he's starting to clean out the division, and he hasn't already. Manel Kape might be the last guy he needs to do to actually clean it out as champion. I think he's there. I don't think he's going to get a title shot next. I know Dana said as much in his post-fight presser in Tampa, but I think he's one win away. You give him a top 10 guy, man. You can't. If he beats him, especially if he finishes him like he did on Saturday, there's no denying him a title shot. But I didn't like how Bruno Silva came out because Bruno Silva came out fighting like he had a game plan, right? But Manel Kape came out all Bruce Lee, like he was messing with him, doing like standing there doing almost like Nick Diaz did to Anderson Silva years ago, except
he's
clowning him, right? Talking to him, messing with him a little bit here and there and everything. And it rattled Bruno. You cannot fight for a title if you get rattled by stuff like that. It just cannot happen. You know what I mean? That's the one person that didn't get rattled by, knocked out Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman became champion, not rattled by all the antics and all the garbage. So Manel Kape's a highly talented individual. What's gonna screw Manel Kape is Manel Kape. Okay. Comes out in the post-fight presser and F-bombs everybody, which made me laugh, right? Because he says, like, the other two made sense, Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara-France. Then he goes, F Adesanya. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell? And it's funny because in the reaction video, Adesanya goes, wait, what did he say F me for? Like, it was
I think they got into like, if I remember correctly, when he was scheduled to fight Kai Kara-France, he called him out at the weigh-in, threw a water bottle at him, and then Izzy was up there on the stage and was like, basically telling him he'd kick his ass. And then I was like, I'm not scared of you. Come ahead and go do it. And they kind of had that little confrontation on stage. So I'm sure that was still in the back of Manel's mind.
Still, man, no, Manel Kape, man, give the man the top 10. He beats them. I mean, much less finishes them. Yeah. He needs to take just a title shot straight up.
Well, the only thing for me is when we talk about Manel Kape, he struggled against grapplers, and we've seen that against Pantoja, and we just saw it in his last loss to Muhammad Mokaev. So if he is to fight someone in the top 10, I'd really like to see him tested again against a grappler. I think that he needs to pass that stylistic test before he gets his title shot, because if he goes and fights Pantoja again, it's classic striker versus grappler, just like it was the first time. And there's a high probability that he gets taken down and either finished off before the 5 rounds get through, or it'll be a dominant win for Pantoja. So, I really would like to see him pass the test with a grappler moving forward.
I would too. And I mean, Mokaev just scored that one win, and it was impressive, but it wasn't unexpected because the guy came in on like 20 minutes notice. But maybe he did enough.
Rematch?
Maybe it was enough. Rematch for a title shot. Winner gets Pantoja. And I'm not against it. A lot of people, and honestly, the UFC wouldn't. I don't think UFC would say no to Mokaev coming back, because it'd be controversial to the point where there's gonna be eyeballs on the guy now. I mean, whether or not you like his fighting style, you're gonna tune in to see if he's getting, to see what happens. So
bring them all back. Bring him back. Bring DJ back. Make the flyweight division great again.
Freaking DJ, dude. If we can get, I know Pantoja called it DJ, and DJ immediately was like, no. Like, I'm like, man, but can you imagine if DJ came back and took that belt back? Man, that's the biggest F you to everybody, including Dana White, who likes to pretend like he's the one that supported him, which we were there for that.
I got to ask you, Eddie, Dana White at the press conference said that he has something in the works for 2025 that's going to blow everybody's doors off, and it's going to be crazy. Do you believe him, and what do you think it could be?
So anytime Dana says something like that, the result's usually underwhelming. Usually, I don't remember the last time when he was like, "Oh, it's gonna blow your mind," blah blah, this stuff, and then it actually did. Very, very few.
UFC 300 is the only one that pops immediately.
And even then, we all knew it was gonna be big. Like, there was no way they weren't gonna have that 300th pay-per-view, not be massive. So so we all kind of knew something good was coming. That was we just didn't expect the matchups because they were all awesome. But I don't know. I know Schaub came out with the whole Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz in the UFC, and what made me laugh is, in order to connect the dots that he connected, because I mean, I almost had a aneurysm reading his watching this dumbass video, but like when he was connecting all these dots, I'm like, man, mental gymnastics like nobody's business there, Brendan. Relax, bro. I think it's gonna be more about like a venue or a place they're going, something like that. I don't know. I mean, at this point with DW, whoever knows, right? End of the day, I don't think it'll be a matchup, but I am hoping he delivers on the excitement part of it. I really do.
Yeah. I hope it's DJ, honestly. That's the first thing that popped to my mind. I was like, yes, get him back, please.
So, yeah, no, 100%. And I know Pound for Pound had Henry Cejudo on visiting Habib, right? Mm-hmm. They had, Dylan Rush works for them. Also part of the Cageside press team. I saw the clip through him. And so through his Instagram, I think, and it's Habib telling Henry, he's like, hey man, you could still be champion, basically. And Henry's like, yeah, I could. And I think that was dope. I wonder if there was a similar. DJ was there too. DJ showed up before or after. I'm not even 100% sure when he showed up for that. But DJ went over and trained with Habib and Islam and Umar and all those other guys. And I wonder if he made the same thing to him, right? Could you imagine DJ versus Henry Cejudo, like for the BMF belt, just cause for the BMF belt. Like
that'd be sick. You think
that
he'd
would
have to
be
fight at 135, or do you think DJ'd be able to make 125 again? I think that when he says immediately, "Oh fuck no," like I think that's because he's mentally having to go through. Oh, I'm gonna have to go through a really tough weight cut again. I think that's probably the big reason he wouldn't go to 125.
I don't think DJ will fight Henry at 135. That's an advantage for Cejudo, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you make Cejudo cut a lot to 125 if he really wants that fight, and then the winner fight gets a title shot. Now I could also see DJ coming back, Cejudo coming back, and challenging Pantoja, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If DJ came back and fought, do you think he'd rather fight Pantoja at 125 or fight Henry Cejudo at 135?
Oh, it's got to be something on the line. I think it's Pantoja.
I do too.
Plus DJ and Cejudo are buddies now.
Yeah.
So, but I do think if DJ comes back, it's not going to be for a fight. It's going to be for the fight, and then see what happens. But again, it would be a DJ coming back with a massive FU to so many people that call them boring and bullshit. Because again, I was not one of those. I was always excited for a DJ fight. I didn't care if it was a ground affair or a stand-up fight. But when he pulled that mousetrap off against, I can see the dude's face right there, Ray Borg, right? The mousetrap, like the armbar in midair. I was just like, I'm DJ fan for life. I don't care anymore. He's the man. That's the GOAT. I don't care. So yeah,
and his fights with Henry were great too. So
hell yeah.
Moving along the card here, we had another impressive knockout. Many finishes along this UFC Tampa main card. Dustin Jacoby ignites the Tampa crowd that booed him the round previously, in getting the job done over Brazilian standout Vitor Petrino. Now Petrino is somebody highly talented, and I'm going to get in. I'm disappointed by this guy. Mm-hmm. When we did our end of the year combat sports show with a bunch of different journalists last year, Napoleon, Zach, 4 Ounces of Freedom, a whole bunch of guys, I said Vitor Petrino was one of the prospects to look out for at 205. He was undefeated at this time last year and was on a 3-fight winning streak with some finishes, had brutally knocked out Buckley, and was looking like he could be the next contender at 205 pounds. They then throw him to an aged Anthony Smith and an aged Dustin Jacoby, and he gets subbed by Smith and knocked out by Dustin Jacoby. I'm sorry, I don't want to see any more of Vitor Petrino at all, and I don't think that he has a place in the UFC rankings in the future, and he certainly does have a place there right now. He gets knocked out by Dustin Jacoby, fights him at his own game for 15 minutes, and largely a uneventful stand-up striking affair until Jacoby, the technical kickboxer, can get a read on him later in the fight, land the straight right hand that puts him down. I was absolutely not impressed whatsoever with Vitor Petrino in this fight. He stuck his neck out there against Anthony Smith and lost the only way he could have lost that fight in Brazil just last time out. I really don't want to see too much of Vitor Petrino anymore. And Dustin Jacoby, great win for him, but he was on a 4 of 5 fight loss streak coming into this one as well. Certainly I'd like to see him compete in the UFC again, but Vitor Petrino to me has been one of the biggest disappointments in 2024.
Yeah, no, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, I just think for Petrino, he's in his head. He just seems like he's in his head, you know. Speaking at media day, he tried to be, you know, he was like, yeah, you know, you lose in Brazil, you got submitted in Brazil on top of that.
Yeah.
But you lose in Brazil, it's a big deal. People get at you when he's, people go after you and all that. When he said that, I immediately thought he's in his head. Hopefully he has a sports psychologist or someone to talk to that can get him through these moments, because that will screw you up for the next fight. And when this one, he just seemed off. He seemed like he was off by Dustin's unwillingness to engage first. They both wanted to counter. Petrino wanted to counter. So then Petrino got frustrated and started not like putting himself out there too far, but enough to where he was like, all right, fine. If you're not going to start the dance, I'm going to do the dance, right? Boom, boom, let's go. And then he got caught. Honestly, the way I saw the shot, he just got caught. But again, not the same Vitor that we've seen in his first few fights and first couple fights in the promotion. So I want Vitor to go away for a minute. Just don't come back till mid next year. Go home, find a sports psychologist, talk to a veteran. I believe Glover Teixeira would be a great bet to talk to.
Maybe Pereira would be a great change camps and it's a change of scenery. Something.
You got to move something around. Start with the mind, and then look at who's around you and look at the people where you train, and then make the changes that you think are going to help you. But I think a sports psychologist should be on everybody's staff in terms of gym. in terms of professional, professional teams and all that. So I think that's a problem.
Yeah. And if you look at Vitor Petrino physically, he should not lose either of those fights. He literally fought his opponent at both of their styles and games. And that's the reason he lost. I don't know if, like you're saying, sports psychologist, I don't know who's making the game plans for him, because when you're fighting Anthony Smith, you were rocking him on the feet before you shot for that takedown. There was no need for that takedown at all.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith, all respect to him, he's a former title challenger, a legend of the sport. He has not looked great with his hands in numerous amount of years since that Ryan Spann fight. So the first one. So I just didn't understand the game plan in the first one. And in this one, I thought that he was having some success holding Jacoby up against the fence when it got to the clinch and in those positions. I would have liked to seen him go for a trip takedown and try and get some control time on the ground. But the game plan just hasn't been there for Vitor Petrino. He's a physical specimen, someone who you look at and would think has a title hopes for himself down the future. But just things aren't clicking for him right now. And like you said, I want to see him take some time off before he gets back. Now, before the main card here, Eddie, we had a few decisions in a row, kind of uneventful on the prelims. Was there anything that stuck out to you specifically? All right, here we'll talk about Daniel Marcos getting the split decision over Adrian Yanez. This was a great fight. Marcos stays undefeated, improves his record to 18-0. Adrian Yanez puts up a spirited effort. Some people thought that he won this fight. I had it for Daniel Marcos, but what was your opinion on this one, Eddie?
I had it for Yanez, and like I don't think Daniel Marcos did enough to. Okay, first of all, it's a split decision, right? It's okay, whatever, right? No big deal. Usually when a split decision, like he's usually, and it was a close fight. It's like you said, it was a close fight, it's a good fight, but I thought it should have been Yanez. It's just, and again, I'm it was the prelim, so I was live tweeting this whole time. I don't score cards when I'm covered. I just don't. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But just from watching from the feel of the fight, like I thought Adrian Yanez should win. I mean, shit, I could have been a judge for back in the Pride days, right? When they were doing like full fight scoring.
Just give us a name.
Yeah, just give us who won. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
He won. Right, I would be a terrible round by round judge. I'm telling you right now. So this was just surprised and everything. And Daniel Marcos came out afterwards and was like, "I'm the new face" and all that stuff. I'm like, bro, if I ask a UFC casual who if he knew what Daniel Marcos is, I promise you he don't know. So relax with the whole face of the fucking division. But real quick on Petrino before we move on to another fight. He trains at CM Systems, right? And that's I should have his name. I'm sorry. Cristiano Marcelo, who used to train at Shooter Box. I take my ass to Shooter Box. Go train with Charles Oliveira. But more importantly, and a lot of people are gonna hate this, go be friendly with Ian Gary. Ian Gary and whoever's on his team are incredible game planners. They are great game planners. I go there personally. But yeah,
they really are. And while you were talking, I was looking up the verdict scorecard for the Marcos versus Yanez fight, and it was extremely close. They had the first round going to Marcos, second round going to Yanez, and slightly favoring Marcos in the third round. So it seems like the third round was really the disputed one in this contest. But congratulations to Daniel Marcos staying undefeated. And I like what you were saying about Vitor Petrino. And Ian Gary does have some of the best game plans. The way he fought Michael Venom Page, stalling that fight and doing what he had to do to get a win, that was brilliant. It might not have been the most entertaining things for fans, but it was certainly a very good game plan.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Again, Petrino, go hang out with Ian Gary, go hang out with Charles Oliveira, whoever Ian Gary's training with, and learn how to game plan. You're a light heavyweight. You ain't never going to fight either one of those guys. Just go there. That's what I would do. But yeah. But in terms of this fight, Daniel Marcos, I get it, but nah, fam. Adrian Yanez got not robbed, but I mean, it's just like, the fight to me ended up being like, oh, okay, it happened. That's what are you gonna do?
Yeah, another one I wouldn't mind seeing again if they ran it back in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on, though, the biggest fight for the rest of the year in 2024 is not a mixed martial arts fight. It is a boxing contest. We're going to talk about it. The heavyweight title rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. This is for all the belts, lineal championship on the line, as well as WBC, WBO, all the major titles. This is the one to settle the score. Tyson Fury takes on Alexander Usyk in Saudi Arabia. The first fight ended by split decision going in the favor of Alexander Usyk. Is Fury going to come in better shape in this fight? That is really the talking point for me and where I'm going to reside my prediction. If Tyson Fury comes in and looks like he did in the Deontay Wilder fights, I think he can beat any man on earth. But when he showed up against Francis Ngannou and in the shape that he showed up against in Alexander Usyk in that first fight, I think it is a diminished version of Tyson Fury, which is still a great fighter, but not the historically great fighter we saw come and reignite this heavyweight division with that trilogy and 2 wins over Deontay Wilder. How excited are you for this heavyweight title rematch? And do you think Usyk gets the job done again? The first one was really close. Fury winning a lot of the early rounds, and Usyk coming on at the end there. I don't know if conditioning necessarily played a factor, but Usyk was doing some good work, especially in those later rounds. How do you break this one down, and how excited are you for this weekend?
I'm hyped for it, dude. I was excited for the first fight. I really was, and I don't buy many boxing pay-per-views, allegedly, and I'm definitely gonna watch this one. Yeah. But the thing about
$29.99, by the way, Turkey Al Sheikh.
Oh, Turkey! Oh, dude! In Turkey we trust. That's good. That is gonna be that. Hey, I'm actually gonna buy it now. Anyway, but look, man, the first fight was exciting, but like you were mentioning Fury shape, right, against Francis Ngannou. I remember when Francis knocked him down, I'm like, that should be it. Like, that's a win right there. I don't care what you say. Like, Fury looked out of shape. He looked slow. He looked confused to face a guy like Francis. And then going from Francis, I think he went right to Usyk, right? He didn't fight anyone in between. To go right to Usyk. So you went from a beginner boxer, let's be honest, a beginner boxer, to like the best in the world, right? In a lot of people's opinions. And so that thing was a jump, and I don't think he was ready for it. I honestly don't think he was ready for it. Maybe he should have taken a warm-up before that fight or something, but I think you're right. So he did gas out in the later rounds, and Usyk was able to like somehow fight longer than Tyson could, and he put Tyson on the back foot for most of the second half of that fight. So I'm excited for it, and I would say it'll be hard to beat Usyk, especially if Fury shows up in the same shape as last time.
When I'm looking at these fights, and I'm trying to give predictions in the big ones, I always look at historical matchups. What aligns? What's going on, Devin? What aligns with these same stylistic fighters in the past? And when I go back to the 1990s, there's one matchup that really sticks out to me in terms of the physical style and the path of how these guys got here. Evander Holyfield fought Riddick Bowe twice in the 1990s. Evander Holyfield, like Alexander Usyk, was an Olympic boxer. Like Alexander Usyk, came up as a cruiserweight champion, took that speed, put on some pounds, and then came up to the heavyweight division, defeating Mike Tyson and obviously becoming a legend in his own right. Riddick Bowe was really a physical presence at like 6'6". Mm-hmm. He wasn't necessarily the most in-shape guy in the world, but he had power in his hands, could take a punch, and was a physically dominant fighter, a lot like Tyson Fury. When you look at that first contest between Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield won by split decision. The second time around, Bowe came in better shape and won the fight by knockout. I think that this could be a similar way that this right here plays out. When you look at it historically and stylistically, Usyk was able to get the split decision win just like Holyfield the first time around. If Tyson Fury comes in better shape in this one, I've got him by knockout.
That again, he shows up, right? And Devin makes a good point. We used to clip Fury in the back half of their first fight. Fury was cruising through the middle, looking great, body punching. And yeah, but it's still so. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like we did slow him down for the rest of the fight, though. I wonder how much that shot hurt him.
Yeah, and it was a bad image seeing Fury kind of flailing back against the ropes in that final round, trying to get away from Usyk. It was charging forward, so it doesn't necessarily was the most appealing look for Tyson Fury as the fight went on, and I certainly did score it for Usyk. It was closely contested, and it's harder to score boxing fights than it is in mixed martial arts, just based off the rounds, man.
Yeah, and a lot more rounds, and guys will take the first. A lot of guys will take the first 3, 4, 5 rounds off, and then when they come on, every shot they throw is on point and clean and heavy. So, we'll see how it goes. Deontay put a lot of damage on Fury. He did. He definitely did. And then he knocked him the fuck down. And then, dude, when he came up like the Undertaker,
a lot of punishment on Deontay as well.
Oh, 100%. But the first fight when Fury popped up like the Undertaker, I'm like, oh, this fight's over.
That's one of the in my lifetime watching boxing. Like I'm not the oldest. You probably had experience watching all the Tyson fights and that type. That was one of the biggest moments in boxing history in my lifetime. Like when you watch Juan Manuel Marquez knock out Manny Pacquiao, that's another big one. Those were really defining moments. He brought back the heavyweight division to life, and he brought himself back to life in that fight. So that was a great moment. In the shape he showed up in that second fight when he stopped Deontay Wilder in the first 4 rounds, that's one of the best heavyweight fighters I've ever seen.
That was crazy. And then the two images that pop in my head when I think of Fury is Fury getting him. Yeah, Devin. Fury scraping himself off the canvas in the first Deontay fight was heroic. It was crazy. But it's that one. Him getting off the canvas when he got knocked down. But the other one is Francis knocking him down. And that picture of Francis like almost like above him. I'm like, oh. I remember during the fight when that happened, I freaked the hell out. And I remember I was thinking like, man, if Ngannou comes through and wins this fight, that's going to be on a poster on a bunch of kids' bedrooms from now on. That's going to be a crazy look. But the only reason no one cares about that picture anymore is because, Ngannou lost. So.
And then we're also going to have on this card, not that we're going to break down these fights very much, but Israel Madrimov just recently competed against Canelo Alvarez. He'll be back here fighting Sergey Bohachuk. I've never seen Sergey fight, but we're going to watch him this weekend. So that is the co-main event to this card. I'm excited. It's $29.99. Heavyweight titles on the line. Historic matchup. Like I mentioned, Fury's coming back with a point to prove. If he wins, we could get a trilogy out of this one. And these guys are really the top 2 at heavyweight right now. There's no arguing that, especially with how Dubois just took out Anthony Joshua as well. So these are the 2 best guys on the planet. And we're going to see a great matchup this weekend in a heavyweight slugfest.
100%. I'm ready for it, man. And it's funny you mentioned AJ getting knocked out because I legit was just like, man, when are we going to get Fury versus AJ? I feel like the UK want to see that.
I would watch Dubois. I'm sure Dubois will be in attendance.
He'll be there.
Yeah, he'll be there. I mean, it doesn't necessarily bring the casuals in, but he beat the shit out of AJ. Like he outclassed him. So he's only 27 years old himself, and somebody that people should keep an eye out on. So thanks for joining us, fight fans. This has been the Combat Connection. We will be back next week and break down anything that comes up with the heavyweight title matchup. If there's new matchups that come out with the UFC or any breaking news like Dana White alluded to in 2025, we'll bring it to you next Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.